Lauren Boebert responded to the Durham report in Lauren Boebert fashion. She's not exactly known for her wise analysis, and that definitely made itself known in the clip I'm about to show you. We'll go through, in case you missed some of this, the Durham report and why what Lauren Boebert is saying in this clip is so absurd. But she thinks the FBI, based on what was outlined in the Durham report, is guilty of treason. Oh my goodness. Take a look at this from Lauren Boebert.
This is nothing but treason, Chad. And the Durham report reveals outrageous levels of corruption, and it makes it clear that the FBI targeted President Trump to help Crooked Hillary win an election. I think he's retired that name. It's now Crooked Biden. He said he's given it to him. But I mean, this is what the FBI was doing. And I mean, I would call this treason. I would call this election interference. The mainstream media ran with it. Obama was briefed on it. Joe Biden was briefed on it. Hillary Clinton obviously knew. There has to be accountability here.
I really wonder, Josiah, all these people on the right who are talking about the Durham report and saying what it means, have any of them read it?
No, absolutely not. It's 306 pages. Are you kidding me? And I don't think there are any illustrations in it. So that probably means that Lauren Boebert has not read it. Yeah, but I mean, as you alluded to in the introduction of the clip, the Durham report is a nothing burger. Just real quick. I mean, it basically regurgitates the findings of the Inspector General Horowitz report, the Republican Marco Rubio-led report from the Senate Subcommittee on Intelligence, the Mueller report as well. It was a witch hunt to try to discredit investigation into the wildly inappropriate relationship between the Trump campaign and Trump administration and Russia. And even everything Durham found, there were 0 indictments in that report, 0 criminal referrals in that report. He never comes out and says that, the FBI shouldn't have opened any sort of investigation into that relationship between Trump and Russia. And he makes no sweeping recommendations for structural changes to the FBI either. So I don't know what they're looking for.
And let me quickly remind people, in case you were kind of blurry, the Mueller report, kind of original investigation, not Mueller report, Mueller investigation, original investigation that kind of this all spawned off of, and this was an investigation into the connection between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. And what ended up being found, as you might remember, is the fact that indeed Russia did attempt to interfere in the 2016 election. And indeed, there were really inappropriate relationships between Trump campaign officials and people in Russia associated with or in the Russian government. What the Mueller investigation, this process did not end up uncovering was a direct coordination and conspiracy between the Trump campaign, Trump, and these individuals in Russia to interfere. But the Trump campaign was obviously okay with the interference on their behalf. And so then, because Trump was very unhappy with that investigation, his attorney general, William Barr, appointed a special counsel, John Durham, to investigate the investigators, investigate this investigation and see if it was politically motivated, if it was just an attempt to interfere in the election. What we were promised by MAGA, again, just kind of walking you through to recap, was that this would be the crime of the century that was about to be uncovered by John Durham. This would be the moment where we all learn that Trump had the election almost stolen from him, but he prevailed still. And the FBI was trying to steal the election from Trump and was trying to hurt him politically and all of that. John Durham had years, I think it was 4 years, right, to investigate this. And the 2 individuals he brought to trial, it ended in acquittal. He had 1 plea deal, but the 2 people who were brought to trial, they ended in acquittal. He didn't uncover this criminality. And in his report, he didn't even allege that the FBI was attempting, because of their political motivation, to interfere in the election. He just took issue with parts of the investigation and mistakes that were made, which, fair enough, mistakes will be made in an investigation. And now, I think before they even had a chance to read it, they were already ready to say, this uncovered what we said that it did.
Yeah, it's so funny to watch a timeline, and I'm hoping maybe we ought to do it. Maybe we need to put our heads together and just like find all the clips and collate it. If not, I'm sure people at MSNBC have done it already. But tracking the progression of the total depletion of morale in the Republican Party from when the Durham investigation began until now is so hilarious to track. Because like you said, Donald Trump and his sycophants were saying this is going to uncover the crime of the century. This is it. Democrats, we got you now. We got you, crooked FBI. And then as the years passed, every time Fox News or OAN or Newsmax would be like, guys, so what about that Durham thing? You can just see the Republican senators and Congress people kind of looking at their feet. Well, I mean, I'm kind of losing faith, to be honest with you. And in large part, because like you said, the two attempts by John Durham to bring convictions against people in trial, he lost. That's not a good win-loss record, right? Whereas with the Mueller report, there were 30 plus indictments brought and multiple convictions, so a much better win-loss record. Durham wasn't up to the task, even though he had twice the time to make his case. And as you said, he was under intense pressure from Attorney General Barr, who in turn was under intense pressure from Donald Trump to find fault, find something that we can use here. But I'll remind everybody, both the Trump Department of Justice Inspector General report led by Horowitz and the Republican Marco Rubio-led Senate Select Intelligence Committee report both concluded that though there were issues with the FBI's investigation, particularly related to FISA warrants, they did not find any evidence whatsoever of inappropriate political motivation. So at the end of the day, it is simply a fact, no matter how Professor Jonathan Turley and other, again, Republican mouthpieces in the media and, again, sitting members of the Republican Party try to spin it. This is a nothing burger, which is why in the very end, this report brought 0 criminal referrals, 0 indictments, and 0 sweeping structural changes to the FBI.
Totally agree. And one other clip I want to look at while we're on this subject, the reason why, or at least I often speculate, the reason why that term treason is so often used. Oh, Pelosi's guilty of treason. The FBI is guilty of treason. Biden is guilty of treason. It's a little bit of a dog whistle, or it's alluding to something that a lot of MAGA who are listening to Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Greene, whoever's saying that, are tuned into. And this is a clip of Marjorie Greene saying Pelosi is guilty of treason. And you'll hear what she says the punishment for treason is.
She's a traitor to our country. She's guilty of treason. She took an oath to protect American citizens and uphold our laws. And she gives aid and comfort to our enemies who illegally invade our land. That's what treason is. Exactly. And by our law, representatives and senators can be kicked out and no longer serve in our government. And it's a crime punishable by death, is what treason is. Nancy Pelosi is guilty of treason, and we want her out of our government. She's held her.
So there, I mean, how much more transparent can you get with a call to violence saying Pelosi's guilty of treason, treason's punishable by death? I mean, it's just so dangerous. And so then, do I know for sure everyone's aware of that being the conversation about that word among the right wing? And obviously that's what's hyping up MAGA when they hear that. I don't know if Lauren Boebert's thinking about that in the moment, but that most likely is why that term is being used. It's a reference to the absolute most severe form of violence.
Yeah, I would simply say the operative phrase was Lauren Boebert thinking. If you're a betting man, probably not. But I do think that if Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene were ever to put any serious thought into anything, it would be thoughts of violence and execution against their political opponents. And so this is nothing new. This is radical rhetoric, again, the likes of which you simply don't see in equal amounts on the left or in the Democratic Party. I remember when Republicans clutched their pearls over when Maxine Waters, the Democratic Congresswoman, said you need to get in their faces and protest, which, again, if you want to make the case that is escalatory rhetoric, fair enough, but that certainly doesn't necessarily imply violence, let alone death. And here you have Marjorie Taylor Greene just flat out saying it. So that this is, again, where on this show, on my show, on your show, on everything, we have to remind people, reject the asymmetry of expectation. The fact of the matter is there is no equivalence between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in terms of extremist rhetoric. It is infinitely worse. in the Republican Party, and you have to acknowledge that.
Thank you so much for watching this video. For the outro, I want to quickly plug Josiah's channel. Hit them with it, Josiah.
All right, folks, you can find me at youtube.com/@ponderingpolitics, one word. If you like progressive politics, if you like the Republican Party being called out, and if you like collaborations with Luke Beasley, hit me up there.